Did not know. Let's see if it's gonna transcribe. Did I go down here?
Yeah,
Go here?
yeah, because that'll be what's happening. Yeah, there we go.
And you want to say your
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna start the meeting. And just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and transcribed. This is very bizarre. Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Amy is not here as my meeting guru. Okay, this is the time for citizen comment. So if there's any comments you want to make, I'm going to read this little paragraph here. And then if there's anything you'd like to say. So this agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the board or committee on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the board or committee should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the board liaison or board chair prior to the start of the meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak with a reasonable limitation on speakers on one topic or item with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The board or committee is not permitted to take action on any subjects raised by the speaker during the citizen comments. However, the chair may have the item placed on the future agenda for action. Refer to the item to the city administration for further study or action, briefly state existing city policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. So, is there any comments you'd like to make or share with us?
Well, we would like to welcome you
Yeah.
for
Thank you.
being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
I feel like we know you. I've been
Yeah.
emailing you for so long and Maria Mentor has been.
Oh, right.
As, you
Kim
started
here?
with,
Kim?
Kim just left
Oh.
actually. So she went home and Kim has been working with you. So we appreciate you being here and we're excited that you're here
Yeah.
to join us. So thank
Glad to
you.
be here.
Can I just say
Yes,
my
please.
thing?
Mhm.
So I just want to say before we run through the agenda, a huge thank you to Natalie and Don for all the years that they have served. Natalie's been with the committee 6 years from the beginning of it. And I want to say 3 years for Don. So thank you both so much for your professional input and time spent and volunteer hours and everything that, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna cry because I just appreciate all the time you spent mentoring me to help me learn all this stuff. So hopefully we can use your expertise in the future on our future endeavors with the West Side. But we wanted to thank you both so much for everything you've given to the committee.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we have a cake up there, so please cut it. It's to Don and Natalie, a farewell, but not a goodbye.
So thoughtful.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Well, thank you, Bonnie. It's been great. I feel like I've learned so much too being on this committee. So it's been really great and informative and I feel like I can share that information with my students and it's been great meeting you all and getting to know you all on a more personal level. So okay, well, we'll get started with the agenda and if anybody wants to slice me a cupcake, I'll take it too. Consider approval of the May 22nd minutes. So I'll give you a minute or two to look through those.
And we're gonna, once they do that,
Mhm.
we're gonna.
Oh, jump to, yeah.
Yeah, so then Maria can do hers because she has somewhere to be after that. And we'll just jump that right in here.
Yeah.
And I would announce
I
that.
move to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Great. We are going to switch agenda items a little bit. The 24471 receive a West Side Art Trail update from Maria will be moved up to the first or second agenda item. And then we'll go through the rest of the agendas.
Is that exactly one of our network drives, the laptop?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you can pull up the map, it's on the P drive, I can tell you how to get there.
Mhm.
And then I also printed it out to see if we can leave it on the middle of the table. I think most of the committee members have seen this, especially, I know people who've been here a while have probably have seen this before. Okay, so if you go to P and then at the 02 administration, and then Arts and Culture Committee, and then scroll down to Public Art Projects, and then West Side Art Trail. And then it says, it's a document called Proposed Map. I think it's proposed preliminary trail map. That's it right there. Okay, so,
Oh, thank you.
and I also, here's a copy of it on the
Oh,
table.
thanks.
And so
Thank you.
my level of involvement is been, I'm just now diving into this project. So I will provide as much information as I can, and then hopefully answer any questions. I'm on the other side of it now, so it's a little different, but I've learned a lot, so. There's a few updates, and I went and drove the trail, I've been on it a bunch, but just trying to look at it through a different set of eyes, so I spent over an hour just driving all around, the parts I could get to. So phase one, which is, if somebody, I could.
Vanna White.
That's
I
right.
was gonna ask somebody else to, but that's gonna be weird. So phase one, starts here and goes to here. This is phase one right here. And then also phase one is this part. So here, so this part's on the west side.
So
And
that's from the dark rail
Yeah.
station underneath the
Mhm.
freeway
Mhm,
to a point there.
yes,
And then it's over by the
Yeah.
John Burke Nature Reserve.
correct.
It's on both ends.
And I said, well, why did we do phase one like that? And they said, well, that was people who were here, they're not here, but also I think, because a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, some of this is, City of Dallas, this is City of Dallas. So I think it was just from a standpoint of getting some of the agreements in place and things like that, it was a little bit easier to tackle this, get that done since that's mostly in Farmers Branch. And then this is gonna be a little challenging because this is 635. There's a railway, there's a bridge, there's things like that that they're gonna have to be we'll have to get agreements for and things like that to get right of entry for some of those. So
And it looks like the two purple lines that are on the beginning points are all funded by the same source of funding.
correct,
In whatever that says.
yes.
Okay.
So the Velo Web is I guess a term for like the wider trails, like the bike trails, what you see, the blue, these are these are smaller pedestrian trails, like sidewalks that are already, or some of these are already existing. They'll connect to the trail, but the ones you see, these will be 12-foot wide. So they'll be 12 feet wide. And a lot of this is already, I shouldn't say a lot, some of this is already in place. So if you drive, like obviously you drive around the lake, it's there. All the way to Valley View and this is, the neighborhood over here. So a lot of this is already there. This is approximately all of this, all of the Velo Web, the purple, the orange, the green that you see, it equates to about 5.5 miles, almost 5.5 miles. It will connect. Now it's not 5.5 miles to here. It includes some of this where it kind of loops around. It will connect to Campion Trails right here. That Sam Houston trailhead right here. So it goes around and connects. We are hoping to have this bid out in August, and then it would take about 9 to 12 months once that contract is executed. So if everything goes well, and weather permitting, by next fall, we should have this part and all of this completed. And then we'll move on to phase 2.
And where does the park fall into that? The west side, our trail park?
West Side Art Trail Park,
Yeah, the park on the west side.
Mercer Park.
Yes,
That's over here.
okay.
So that's
So-
not,
Is that being developed at the same time?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're not,
Jessica might actually know more about that than me, about Mercer Park. I know they have that as an agenda item for an update for an upcoming council meeting,
Correct.
but I don't know. I really don't have updates on
Okay.
Mercer Park.
okay.
So, when this map was done, Kimley Horn put this together. And they identified spots that might be good. And when some of us who were here back then, we drove around and we saw a few spots that were marked on this map here for potential art. So those were some spots, that they identified as, potential trail amenity nodes, enhanced trail crossing, gateway points, things like that. None of it is set in stone, and the committee can really decide wherever we want the art to be. And as we learned with this last one, we have to have a right of entry. So with this, we put these concrete pads. I met with Valwood and they said, sure, yeah, you can do that. Well, we didn't have a right of entry agreement. We had to go back and get that with Billingsley to be able to put the art. So if none of this is, well, I shouldn't say none. A lot of this is not city property. It doesn't mean we can't put art there. We would just have to go through some steps. So, but that's not a problem. We can work on that stuff.
So is there a map that will identify what is city property and what,
Where it could actually go
Maybe-
without having to jump through.
That is actual, yeah, I can ask, we can get something like that. I can tell you there's not, by looking at it. I don't know that this is, right here is the historical park. So I don't know that any of this is the city of Dallas. I don't know that any of this is gonna be city.
Is it fair to say, you sound very confident, right, that if it were locations were chosen that weren't on city property, that could be worked through?
Yes.
So you're pretty confident.
Most of it, yes, I mean, we've, a lot of that's okay. The businesses, a lot of the business going in, they know the trail's coming, they know it's there. And so I don't think we'll have a hard time. Now this area, city of Dallas, this might be a little bit more challenging because these are not Farmers Branch businesses, but that doesn't mean we couldn't try.
But this other place, the Valwood thing, they didn't want it. So.
It wasn't theirs to approve.
It was an HOA issue.
It was an
It was an
HOA.
Okay.
Yes,
So
so
that's my question
the
then.
Valwood Improvement Authority has an easement, but where we looked to put the art, it wasn't their place to allow it. And we didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
So that's what we had to get the right of entry.
Well, how much of this is HOA issues?
HOA is just, I'd have to double check, but I think it's like this area here.
Well, and I think Valwood owns the residential area to the left of the blue dot.
I'd have to pull up a DCAD. I'd have to pull up DCAD, because it shows where the boundaries are, like who owns what.
With the exception of the HOA project, any location that's chosen, whether it's city owned or otherwise, except for HOA, is a viable location for the.
Yes,
I
now,
think
of course, somebody could come back and say no, but I mean, we just find another spot, but, a lot of these businesses know it's coming. It's running right in front, like this, running right in front of their business, the apartments, all along here. So, yeah, yeah, there's a lot of really good potential spots. So, and up even, up here too. So,
Most developments are happy to have art in proximity
Yeah.
to their,
yeah.
their property, so.
You'd think, but the HOA people didn't like. It would be great to know like where their section is, so we just avoid that altogether. And then kind of
Yes.
assess.
I think I was gonna pull it up, but
So where are we right now? Where is the Billingsley approved sculpture
Mhm.
ads going to be placed?
Well, talk about.
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of at the side of where the water is. And Don and I and Maria went out there and we played around with a couple of spots and you said staggering them. So from the road, you get a visual and
It's trying to optimize the placement for a drive-by experience, because the original location, as you know, was a head-on experience, which
Mhm.
makes a difference. So now it's in the corner, the lower right corner of the lake. And, and so it just seems to me in retrospect, after we did that walk and then thinking about it, there's not a whole lot of space available for these three pieces. If we could find, a larger plot that's available, it's worth considering. So that the art can have room to breathe, so that there could be room possibly for some benches, so that there could be possibly room for people to park, which is not really available in the currently proposed location.
correct.
Yeah.
And we also talked about, during a couple of the meetings that the art can also stand alone. It doesn't necessarily have to be put together as three pieces. Since, there are three unique pieces, we could potentially put one piece there. And then once we know where we can look around throughout the trail, have access to potentially put the other pieces in other
Yeah,
locations.
the art can very well benefit from that being in separate locations,
Mhm.
so it can sort of own its own space
Yeah.
without the competition of others.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so that's why, at first, when we had that visual of the three, maybe that corner of Billingsley is still really good. Also, we have to consider the landscaping. It is not landscaped and, if we did indigenous, we talked about making it very, friendly, as far as there's no watering, there's no irrigation in there and we would have to just, figure that part out and the lighting, with the
Can you
lighting.
remind me what the HOA issue is? That's right around the time I joined was when that.
I'm gonna let Maria answer that, the HOA.
I talked with Allison about it and she visited with them and my understanding was they were not interested in putting that on the property at the time.
But isn't the city getting ready to landscape medians and do some stuff that wasn't in the original?
So it might be, I mean,
It seems
we could
like,
revisit that, so.
like maybe there would be a opportunity to go back and see if they still are in the same mindset.
Yeah, and that's been over a year, and so.
Yeah.
The concrete pads are gone,
I saw that.
because I drove around too, they've removed
So
them.
the homeowners association.
No, Parks did.
Oh, Parks.
So I found the document that shows who owns what. So I can tell you how to pull this up. So if you, in the same folder.
The part of the HOA issue, I think, is because it's shared ownership. And so all the members of the HOA have a stake in ownership of the HOA.
Right.
property.
Yeah.
And so for legal reasons, they may not be able to allow another entity to come in and occupy spaces. within the
Sorry.
This we have to be responsible for liability and all other sorts of complexities.
I just feel like it's sitting in a different place because, and you may not know, but the original agreement was that, like all HOAs, all the property owners private, including the medians and the trash. And since then, the HOA has realized, oh my gosh, why isn't that managed by the city? And they've come back and asked the city to pay to both landscape and maintain the median. And, have twice a week trash service instead of once a week trash service. All that's to say is my tax dollars, all of our tax dollars are going to pay for that. And now, so sort of the math has changed from my perspective as to where it was 18 months or 2 years ago with the HOA. They've got some expectations, or maybe the city has, so I don't know.
Because it's been so nice. to
Seems
have
like
them,
there would
Yeah.
be.
Like in the distance, and like you walk to one, you see
Yeah.
another one way out there, you walk to another. Also, it's a walking trail.
Yeah,
But you
so,
want people to like see art and know that it's like there's,
So it's definitely, I mean, it might be worth revisiting, who knows, maybe it's been a year, over a year, so, because I did this map in February of last year, so it's been a year and a half. So this, right here, the amenity center, this is HOA, from here to here is the HOA. This is Valwood Improvement Authority, and this, from here that way is Billingsley. So it's, I mean, it covers a good piece of this, and where we originally were identifying was right here.
well, is the, I can't remember the name of the park, but all the way over here to the west, the
John Burke.
John Burke Park,
Oh,
the
the
end of
nature
that
preserve.
trail, the nature
Mhm.
preserve.
Let me pull that one.
Sorry,
Okay.
back and forth, but
That's okay. Is it minimized? The other one, or do we close it?
I think of it, with the file.
Got right here. So yeah,
I'm just saying, since this is it already built or starting
it,
close?
let me see. No, this. No, this is not here yet. It ends here right now. And then there's gonna be some connectivity. There's another project going on right now, sort of related, but it's not part of the West Side Art Trail necessarily, but, we're working with, NTTA, and about doing a crossing here. Right now, there's not anything here to get to the John Burke. So that's eventually coming. We're just not there yet. So there will be some connectivity to get people to the John Burke. But right, the goal is now to connect to Campion. So that's the first part that's gonna go.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean you can't. If you want to put art here, that is still an option because there will be connectivity to the John Burke, and it's in close proximity,
Mhm.
so.
And this is already a sidewalk built though, right?
Yes,
So that's
Yeah.
all done.
this is already here. Mhm. All of this is already here.
I like the idea of spacing them in a place, maybe that's already exists there, so we don't run into like construction issues of having to move it.
And so some things that might be worth considering
Mhm.
is the amount of traffic. I don't know how much pedestrian traffic or drive-by traffic the original location, or the current location gets. But certainly for the community to benefit, the more exposure, the better. So if there is an area, along these current pathways or soon to be constructed pathways that would allow more visibility, it seems to me that that would be a consideration. And additionally, again, referring to the opportunity for people to actually visit the yard and maybe sit around it and have an experience other than just drive by or walk by. So I just introduced those into the conversation so that people can sort of decide what kind of culture they want to create around the art. And then go from there.
Hasn't there been quite a bit of development since this 2019 map? Like, for example, all underneath the Green Lines apartments
Yeah.
and the field by the, whatever that Brinks, is that what it's called? That's all Billingsley, but it's empty, right?
Mhm.
So there has been 3,000 rooftops or whatever, lots of apartments there that weren't there when this was created. I think.
So you're saying there is more exposure there?
Well, I don't know if 3,000 is the right number, but I know there's at least 3 ginormous apartment complexes. So many that Billingsley expressed some concern about price point erosion for their developments, which are further to the north. At kind of where the blue is up there in the middle of the right-hand side of the map are the Billingsley
Mhm.
multifamily developments. And I'm speaking from when I was on planning and zoning.
Yeah,
And the last planning and zoning, which were 2 Billingsley developments, the 2 newest ones, if that makes sense. I believe I remember they expressed some concern because those apartments down below the green line some were being built and some we knew were forthcoming in the imminent future. And they were concerned about some oversaturation that would cause some price point pressure on rents at the time. All that's to say, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. We would like to think that our demographic is such that, that people would choose to live in our properties even at a premium. But to your point, I mean, that is a very valid concern. And then, there's the whole thing about if you place a piece of art into a densely populated area, does the art sort of get lost in all of that? Does it just become more decorative rather than, a primary focal point? So,
And I think, I don't know, you might know what the plans are for that property, the Billingsley owned property south of Brinks. I think originally it was supposed to be multifamily, but from my recollection, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, because it had become so dense, I think it was just kind of put on hold that no, we're gonna hold off on developing that as multifamily for the time being, see how it kind of plays out. And
I will tell you that our focus is on, Fairview and Allen. So it's a different part of the city.
Yeah.
All of our attention, it's our full attention for the next 10 years.
so that's gonna probably remain undeveloped.
I would suggest that's the case. Yeah.
I want to mention too, since you're saying art can not just be a drive by, it can be a gathering place. In addition to putting in art pieces, if there's other amenities that want to be included, like the funding for the art for the West Side Art Trail could include artistic benches and other things like that too, to help make that space more inviting for people. So
Yes, and we have that on our agenda for art furniture
Mhm.
that we've been looking at.
Okay, yeah, perfect, because all of that can be.
Yes, incorporated,
Mhm.
absolutely.
On the right of entry you were talking about, what all does that mean exactly?
We have to get an agreement that allows us to get on their property, to maintain it. And also, if it's not, since it's private property, for other people to access it, to walk on it and enjoy it.
To be a non-trespass.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's crazy to think about, but if you don't have the agreement in place, then anybody who steps foot on that property to look at the art is trespassing.
So it's not necessarily like with roadways, you have eminent domain on each side. A sidewalk put in as a trail does not have eminent domain so far for upkeep on either side.
Right, there's where the sidewalk. You sound like Shel Silverstein, where the sidewalk ends. For example, the Billingsley property, the moment you step off, you're in Billingsley property. And so in order for us to be able to, for parks to go in there and mow, or for us to fix the light when it's out, or to have the artist go over there and install their art or maintain it, or even for me to go look at it, we have to have a right of entry. And I'm learning, being in public works now, I'm learning that those are very standard. They're not hard to execute at all.
And if we did want to put a bench or something there with that.
Yeah, definitely. All, and, I talked with Tammy in finance and Shane, Shane's our deputy director of public works, and he was over the West Side Art Trail before me, and so, yeah, all of the funding for the West Side Art Trail can be used, obviously, we have the money earmarked for art, but that can also include, other fixtures, anything that benefits the trail.
Any enhancement at all.
Yes,
Like lighting too.
yes, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be solely for an art piece. It can, you can put in the benches, and if you wanted a shade structure or anything like that, it can.
That enhances the art, yeah.
In the hope that there's more money coming,
Well,
so.
it's still, there's that $100,000 for 5 years, and it's in a CIP fund, so it's a capital improvement project fund, so it's, that money we don't lose it. We're not gonna lose it.
Okay.
Now, I will say if,
Aren't we 2 years in now?
yes, so we're 2
Yes.
years in, so there is a,
200 grand.
Yes,
Yes.
so I'm saying we don't lose it at the end of the fiscal year, but if the committee says, we just don't think we're gonna spend $500,000 on art, well, then it might go towards, maybe we put in an artistic crosswalk at some point, there's, that money could be used for other things that are related to the trail too.
but only on the west side. And does that include John Burke as part of?
I believe so, since there will be connectivity, yeah.
I think the powers that be will come after that money if it's not being.
Oh, for
I
sure.
feel like we should not move. I mean, I've only been on the committee a year and a half. And this is all we've talked about the whole time. We now have the piece in the warehouse and, the.
The
parks-
second piece coming tomorrow.
Parks director was here talking about concrete depth and all that stuff. And after we were thrown the curve of the first location, Billingsley fortunately stepped up with the second location. And that's all taken a year and a half that I've been on here. And I feel like y'all were working on a year and a half before that. I could just see another 2 or 3 years going by and the money, suddenly we're in this, oh my gosh, we gotta spend it or whatever, if we.
Help spend.
The more we move and change our minds, the more time just flies by, it feels like.
I do feel like it will be faster.
Oh.
I'm hoping the next time, because this was,
Yeah,
the first time you're doing
but I
something.
feel like if we don't get started,
No, I'm with you 100%. We need to get,
Well, we are started because
That's right, and building a collection, which
Right.
is crucial regardless of the time frame, right? How far in and we can continue to do that, to build an inventory, because I
Yes.
think the emphasis is on ownership, right? Actually building a collection. and not
yes,
Leasing or placing on consignment.
yes.
right.
And since tomorrow, adding to the West Side Art Trail, tomorrow we are having Stephen's artwork delivered to Sedlac where it will be stored. And then on Tuesday, Brandon Taylor, his artwork will be delivered. And so we will outright own the 3 pieces that will be then ready. Dawn and I are working on the plaque to what is along with the artist statement to go on the plaque. So that'll be the next step to get done over the next month. And then just coming up with a location that we want to put them. And Mark has asked me already when we want the concrete poured, so it's ready.
That's exciting.
So I think before the end of the year, all 3 pieces could be in
Right,
place.
so what might be an easy next step is to find out if a larger expanse of land is available along the HOA owned property.
Is that something?
Yeah, we can look into that again.
Without requiring a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, if the HOA is out, for me, I'm like, I'm thinking here, because it's already built. There's walkability. You could pull into the neighborhood and park if you need to. This is highly trafficked right there, the big intersection.
And I remember when we drove, there's an electrical box on one of those
Yeah. I
intersections,
think it's in
and
this one.
And we were like, oh, this, before we were really talking electrical boxes, I think even, at the time, council member Ratana was with us. And we had talked about it. And so that's another thing too, is, you know, if you wrap that art, that could be part of the West Side Art Trail. So,
Right, yeah.
Yes, we talked about,
But I would love
Yeah.
her work to be all the way along it, so that HOA section, maybe if we get some up, they're like, this is great, we'd love our, where we originally wanted to put it.
Yeah.
And we can buy another couple pieces and that's just my 2 cents on that.
yes.
But if we could get more like, yes, we can put pads all along, then it would just be a matter of us curating where it could go. Cause I just feel like we keep going like, can it go here?
It seems like if we just confirm, okay, yes, location one,
Mhm.
we're going forward with that. And then, not tonight, but for the new group
In
in
August.
August,
Yeah,
you know, the first task is identify locations 2 and 3.
absolutely.
That maybe are not in the HO area, and then the task tonight is direct staff to
That's
find
right.
out whoever that is to find out, is there an amenability from the HOA, or are they still, no.
Yeah. I think Bonnie and I will schedule a meeting, and see if we need to talk to somebody in economic development or planning, whoever we need to talk to now about. Yeah, revisiting that, cause yeah, it's been a couple of, it's probably been 2 years, so.
Yeah, and I feel like the HOA was in early, formation, as the house and rooftops were just there. Now they've had a couple of years of having meetings and whatever else
Yeah.
HOAs do. The amenity center has been there for a while, you know, and like I said, the medium topic has come up, which really wasn't a conversation 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
so as they've learned about their community, they've learned some more things. So then maybe they're
Yeah.
more open, especially if we had a plan and could say, hey, there's gonna be art here, here and here. And the only place there's no art is in the section
Mhm.
that you guys, you know, are not allowing it to be. That,
Yeah.
And if they saw what we're actually putting up, so they get an idea of
Yeah.
what type of,
Oh, they never even saw it.
I don't know, did they?
No.
No, because that hasn't been an issue with them, and, you know, we've sort of avoided those conversations because there was no point.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if in your investigating, your inquiry, it's discovered that they want to have it stay in the art, I'm just here to tell you.
Oh,
That
no.
could, yeah.
Yeah, no, they can't have a say.
No, that we're past that.
Trade-off, then,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
forget it.
yeah.
Well, maybe we put the one pad, like you're saying, where you already looked in Billings Lake property, so one would go there. And then ask about 2 more and,
Along the way staggered.
yeah,
Yeah,
get a
down the
filter
trail.
up. and
Yes.
like, this is what we're doing.
And in fairness to the artist, I think it'd be important to sort of plan the installation of the 3 pieces within the same
Yeah,
sort of.
Oh,
timeframe.
Mhm.
for sure, for sure.
Can I get a
We-
consensus? Like if it was our wish,
Sorry. Can you talk? Can you? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You're a part of this.
oh,
Let's give it to you.
if we get our, location, what's our preference? Is it the waterfront, the original location, or what you're proposing, like more spread out?
We were gonna do here.
I know, so if they say yes, do we prefer that over
Oh, I see. what you're saying.
spreading it out?
you mean the 3 pieces together versus one, and one?
I still
Yeah.
think we need to spread out. the
Yeah,
first time around.
it's always gonna be kind of like here, here and here.
Yeah,
Like it was gonna be spread out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Along this way, but
Along
they
the
all
walking
know that,
trail.
so
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 they,
actually, when I saw the pads, they were fairly close together.
that was
Yes.
well,
Well, the original concept was to have a full-on experience at that terminus point.
Yeah.
And to make an impact. And so the combination of 3 pieces in fairly close proximity is a lot stronger presentation.
I think that there is an upside to having them close, because then it kind of looks like a sculpture park area, right by the water. So I think that has a statement.
Merit, yeah.
I think it would be so, I'd be interested if they would say yes again.
Well,
So-
and then symmetry down the road, because if we decide that this is gonna be the initial presentation point for a series of sculptures, we want to try to make sure that strategically, we chose areas that would allow not too much of a concentration in one area and then sparse, sparse, sparse. So we have the flow.
Yeah.
We want the flow to complement.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just, yeah, go
One
ahead.
question.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, so we would have, in a perfect scenario, if we talk to the HOA and everything's good, one on the Billingsley property and then two within the HOA that's like maybe spread out, is that what?
I mean, at least so that you could see, for me, I was thinking like you're on a trail and you're walking and kind of seeing these things, and it's a walking art trail.
And a lot of.
And hopefully there's
joggers.
more.
Yes,
Than just these three. The
Right.
idea is that there would be, but,
Okay. But to initially, with the three.
initially start, yeah.
Okay, so in kind of, not next to each other, but all pretty close together, and then down the road, add farther out.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do we have a cost for these floors?
The concrete pads, we do it in-house, so it's just the cost of the concrete, it's not
It's
expensive.
not significant. And no one likes to spend unnecessarily, but relocating a sculpture at some point would probably not be that big of a deal.
I don't, I don't know what the cost of something, what that would cost, but as far as the concrete pad and,
Well, I mean, unbolting and,
yeah.
4
Yeah.
bolts and Foxy was just 4 bolts.
qualified guys in a truck.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
And
don't
get
think
it
it
where
would
it
be.
needs to go. I mean, we just do that all the time, now, so that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Foxy was 2 guys on a forklift. Were able to just handle that and 4 bolts. So I would think fairly reasonable to
Yeah.
do that.
I think you're saying we don't have to feel so like committed to this.
Back into the corner, right?
Yeah.
So the risk of stating the obvious, an immediate option is to stick with the original plan, all through in that 1 year. Second option is to investigate the availability of HOA property from the Billingsley corner, suppose, or maybe even further to the right, all the way down to where it intersects the purple line. If that were to be considered like the beginning of the art trail.
Mhm.
So, and then if that is available, determine whether or not the 3 pieces would be best served spread out. Seems to me.
Mhm.
Or if you think that severing the pieces entirely and having them in different parts of the city would be a good idea.
Mhm. I mean, it's,
There's some options.
Yeah.
I just don't want to become paralyzed with indecision because of all the options, but also want to consider all the options so that we can make the best decision.
I'm of the mindset, let's pour a pad on Billingsley. We know it's available. Let's put a sculpture up there. Let's ask about the HOA. If we can get an answer by August. And if we can't, then I think agree for the rest of the pads and Billingsley.
Or the end of next week.
Get them, yeah, I think in next week.
I'm not next week.
Get them,
Maybe the week after.
get them up and then, yeah, move from there. Like hopefully buy more sculptures and
Yes,
let people know this is what's happening and make it a to-do.
yes.
Yeah.
Like David said, get it quick, at least.
Yeah, spend
Get
some
the
money.
3, yes, and get them board. I agree.
Let's do it.
Anything else with West Side Art Trail? Anyone want to add anything to that?
All right. Thank you, Maria. We appreciate your information. It's so good to see you. That cake was delicious, by the way.
Oh,
Thank you.
good.
It was really, really good. All right, let's go now to the 24,468, the City Hall art piece and take appropriate action. Bonnie and I were talking and we have a budget of $10,000 for that piece. And, yeah. So this was the fountain that they were talking about, but now it's gonna be a sculpture. So seeing it from this perspective and here, and this is the pergola, right?
Mhm.
So $10,000 is not gonna get us a very large sculpture. So, the size of the fountain, I think is relatively maybe even a little big for a type of sculpture we could get for that kind of money. Just to keep it in perspective, the pieces we just bought were 20,000 and they're about 6 to 8 feet tall. So I think we have some images that we kind of already looked at.
Yeah, and just to let you know, the PowerPoint that's here is slightly different than the one that's in your packet. And wanted to
Yeah.
make sure to say that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted her to add, to show you all the sculptures that we're buying. What these that the city will own. Foxy we already have, the multifaceted Stephen Lee's beautiful piece being delivered tomorrow, and Fall Leaf by Brandon Taylor being delivered on Tuesday. We wanted to look at, we talked about last time, color and maybe abstract, more modern, what it would look like. So this just gives you a visual of, this is an art piece we already own. The budget is small. This is what it could look like behind City Hall. Just to give you an idea of a pop of color, something more modern,
Mhm.
what it could
Is
look
that
like.
to scale?
No.
It's it's an approximate.
I guess.
Oh, thank you. All right, thank
Yes, it's an approximate.
No.
We did get, I sent you, Don, today, the schematic for all the,
you. Right, I looked at it briefly.
yeah, and I did too.
Okay.
So I don't have all the numbers exact, but this is I think has been approved by City Hall. The pergola is a 20 by 20.
And they've approved that configuration.
I think so. I think they've already, yes, that's what it's gonna look like. And they did not want a water feature.
Right.
It will be an art piece. They did rule out water. But he did say, what was it, Lydia? To hang something that it was able on the pergola.
I heard about.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it, but we also incorporated Brandon's there. We, Natalie and I talked about it today that we knew it'd kind of blend in more. I don't know. Just to give you an idea, these are pieces we already own if we wanted to do that. And that, these were ones that you also talked about liking, trees, the dandelions. Don and I were gonna talk about dandelions after this meeting, but we also incorporated the one that we liked. And that's in the next slide. Oh, here's just dandelions and some flowers if we wanted to do that. I thought most of us agreed that we really liked that. And then Lydia added the dandelions to the actual, what it would look like on the next slide, which is quite cool back there.
Would they be lit, like with the colors?
Yeah, you can do different colors.
Yeah.
And that was all gonna have electrical back there, so you could do the lighting. Yeah.
Oh, this artist commissioned different sizes, yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking, like,
So just so you know, that fella is way beyond the price point.
Okay,
that's what I was thinking, like, if you could,
That fella is, but there are alternatives.
yes, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I knew like one of them was way out of our price league, but that's why
Yeah.
I wanted you to
Mhm.
give some feedback on that, but if we scaled it down or what it could look like, and what do you all think?
I still like that.
you still like,
Not having price isn't even in the conversation. Artistically, that looks cool.
It's a very relatable
Mhm.
object.
I think it's nice. I don't know that it's, I hope that the colors would work as brightly as they do in that image. I'm
Right.
wondering if that image has water with it. Like if there is, I don't know. So I don't know if the reflection is gonna be as massive or it's just gonna look like little LED lights. So that would be my only.
The photographs, are enhanced.
Mhm.
So the material itself is stainless, but because these are, you have the globe, and then you have multiple stems, and then you have fingers coming out,
Mhm,
and those aren't, highly reflective stainless steel pieces. They're not polished.
Mhm.
They have, sort of a matte finish.
mhm.
They're reflective enough to, the color will hang there, but it's not going to be as bright.
Right, yeah.
And I just don't know if there is a dark sky ordinance in Farmers Branch, but there are certainly communities where, uplighting beyond a certain, wattage, can't happen without some consequence.
Mhm.
It just can't happen.
I'll ask that question.
And the Eve's piece, when it was yellow, I thought the high contrast of a colorful thing really stood out as opposed to like Brandon's leaves, which are
Yeah.
beautiful, but
You could barely.
very blend in. So thinking about this being seen through like two panels of glass, like from the very outside, could you see all the way through to that piece? And I wonder if the dandelions would, you would just see the silver poles without seeing I mean, I guess it depends on the height and everything, but,
So,
yes, go ahead.
Just because I have no information coming in. Are you considering Brandon's and mine as an option to put here? Or?
No, because it's not on the West Side Art Trail, so I don't believe we could put,
So you're saying something like that could work here, and
It
just
was
kind of like,
representative.
Oh, I see.
Of a pop of color, we talked about how would color do out there, and so we wanted to show your bright yellow for color.
yeah.
is there still time for proposals?
It's more of a like, we have, a ready-made, I think, I don't know their timeline really.
I think the sooner the better.
Yeah.
So, yes, the budget is 10,000 is what they've given us.
Mhm.
So has work, to remove the fountain begun?
I
I think they'll start.
They've drained it.
Yeah.
It's sitting there drained, but they
Yeah.
haven't really done anything else.
They're,
Caution tape.
And they're going to, and there's a fountain so under the pergola, there's something there right now.
There's not the pergola right now, it's just a dried out fountain.
Right.
well, the fountain's gonna be covered in,
Right,
and they're
so
gonna have, that's where the art piece is gonna go. Then you're gonna go down a little bit, and that's where the pergola, and I thought they were gonna put a picnic table under there or benches or something.
But underneath the pergola that we see now, there is a space that needs to be addressed. Is that correct?
No, not
No.
the pergola, just.
No, it's beyond the pergola.
Okay.
It's where they did have a water feature, which is being filled in.
Gotcha.
They don't want water feature, for the upkeep, but they will put electrical there,
Sure.
for lighting.
It was actually a cascading water, like
Mhm.
those 3 panels before the sculpture,
Okay,
that was all water,
gotcha.
and they're filling it all in.
Okay.
And at first they thought water feature but they have now decided no water feature.
Very cool.
Well, and I think the budget one really.
And right behind City Hall too is where there's park and trails and there's grills and benches. And so it's a very inviting environment. It's
For
trying to
city.
get people to come from the park.
That space.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing is when you walk into the new lobby of City Hall, you could see outside.
Mhm.
So that's where the pop of color and, the modernization of the City Hall and how that that's what we were going for, to show what color could look like, because you will see it through the glass doors.
Interesting to know what they predict the timeframe to be, for the,
I think soon.
but when you say soon, you're talking about removing a fountain, removing the mechanics, and then running the electric, and then you have to, put in your pavers and all that sort of stuff. So it could easily be 3 months.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
That's what I mean. Soon being
That's
3 months.
between now and the end of the year,
Yeah.
they want to have this finished.
That's right.
right.
That's soon for,
He talked to us about the filling in of the deal, in pretty pretty
Yeah,
pretty depth, a lot of depth about what they're doing there.
Right.
And then they've kind of now eliminated the water feature thing, you know, so but I think they imminently, they really want a decision now because we don't meet again until August. And by August, that really narrows the timeline to get it done by the end of the year. That was a feeling I got.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking on filling it in and the concrete and all, you know, Robert did talk about how much stability needs to be under the weight and everything. So if we're gonna get a piece that's extremely heavy, they need to be able to calculate all that in when they're pouring that concrete in that piece.
And with a $10,000 budget, you won't be getting.
Yeah, he does.
the heavy pieces.
Well, we didn't know it last month, we would have been $10,000, but
Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, I think with that price point, it's not gonna be as big of a deal.
And the material costs, you know, but, so there is time, for current artists.
Mhm.
We're collecting to submit proposals.
Mhm.
I mean, like, we're open to.
Yeah. Well, we have images already from what Steve and Brandon and
This is another one that I for the West.
Jeffy
I think that can actually sit on that fountain.
put in. Yeah,
And stainless steel, it could be, or it could be any color.
oh, yeah, and
I'm
then,
swiping to the left. Am I gonna get in trouble by doing that? Oh, my God.
I had just saw this artist, he's also Texas based, just to give you an idea of scale and cost. Like, this is only 3 feet tall, and it's $8,000, so just kind of thinking about what you're really gonna get, size wise and material and all that for that money.
Yeah.
and in your packet is the art list that we've been putting together. So it is there if we can go back through. Yeah, I like all that.
Like, we could do color.
And he said it was color.
Could be color, it could be polished stainless, or it could have grinder texture.
Mhm. I think different color, you know, bright color.
I think it needs to be a bright color.
Well, and without an opinion,
Mhm.
without it being too.
Yeah, right, oh, yeah,
Without it being what?
the color.
Too fun. I mean.
Yes,
Right,
that's right.
yes,
That's right.
but it needs to dry.
I mean, City Hall.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Stephen, can you email me those images or?
Yes, because when I saw that picture, I was like, it's already raised and you can save some money and not having to dismantle the entire thing.
Actually, there's no fountain there.
There's nothing there yet, yeah.
It's a pool. That's a better way to call it.
It's a pool that they're gonna fill in,
Yeah.
and what's there is like a checkerboard of brick and cement. And they're gonna match that.
No.
It's gonna look just like that all the way.
I see.
You know the current diameter, the inner diameter of that space?
Big,
And are they,
as big as this room.
oh, is that right?
It was three like reflecting pools, if that's the right
Yeah.
word, and they were at different levels. So when
Stepping
you
down.
looked at City Hall, you could see the water feature. That was the idea. And now they're just gonna turn them into steps. I mean, it looks like they're leveling them off and then putting steps down at the pergola. And it's just gonna be a flat surface. And then whatever we put on the
You
surface.
know, extend this pattern, this. Paper
Yes.
pattern.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
They're gonna try to match the brick.
All right, so I'm assuming that the art would take the size of the space. Are they going to create the space and we use the art to match that?
My feeling was they're creating the space and we're using the option next to that. I don't know if you agree with that. Because they're filling in the fountain, so the space is the space.
Right, but if the space that they're filling in is going to if it's going to appear independent of the pavers around it, if it's a defined space that is the size of this room, which is, I understand, the size of the current fountain, then that is going to require significant scale.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's this brick pattern,
Yeah.
and then whatever.
It's huge, but they're gonna scale it down to where the art piece we put is gonna be, that platform is much smaller. I think it's only, what was it, Bonnie, 8?
It was 6 feet. I remember they.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
the,
So the platform for the art is 6 or 8 feet in diameter.
correct.
Yeah.
And here it is already.
Yeah.
Here's,
We
they
just have
said,
to fill in the space of this room, what's currently there.
Right.
here's the hole. So, I mean, it's 9 pages of all this,
Right, so this is square.
the sheet in it. Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a square space.
Yes.
Yes,
Rectangular.
existing fountain pool.
More rectangular.
medium. And it may even tell on the next pages what the home, I'm sure it tells the dimensions.
Keep pictures of it, because I know, didn't we have it in the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Shape and.
So maybe a picture in the packet. Yes, it's right here, thing of time. Oh, you can see it. You should have on this page. This is one. So that's the current, what it looks like. That will be filled in, so we will have the 6 to 8 foot space within that for the art piece to set. Yeah, that was all.
And the screens, Don, are gonna be severely maintained. He didn't say cut down, but basically they're overgrown and they're taking up a lot of visual space. And, I mean, they might even be cut down and replanted with something.
Well, it shows in that packet what the new landscaping look, no, in the new packet, right?
Okay.
That right there shows where the new trees are gonna go.
Robert said some of those trees were dying.
Yeah.
And they need to be addressed.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so if we can just get confirmation on the exact size and shape, if it's 6 or 8 feet. And if it's circular or, if we, the rendering shows.
I think it's saying on there.
Yeah, I think it's,
20 by 20.
Is the pergola.
Oh, that's
It's a pergola.
6 to 8 foot art piece, but that was height.
Yeah, I thought they wanted it around 8 feet by 8
Yeah.
feet.
Whatever the sculpture will sit on,
I believe 8 feet was the max.
Yes,
8 feet high is max.
High and then
I thought that he said
The
8 by 8,
footprint.
yeah.
And 8 foot high maximum height.
No, the footprint of the thing.
they didn't want it taller than the, well, at one point we talked, they didn't want it taller than a
The
pergola.
pergola is 9 feet 8 inches, I think. I think that's what I saw. I looked at that.
The pergola is
That's what
8
they
feet.
did.
Okay. It's what?
On this, it says, on the minutes or no, it says the pergola is 8 feet tall.
Is it high?
Yes, but it is also gonna be.
It's not on
down
the
a-
same level.
Yeah, it's down a level.
Mhm. So maybe that's right, then 9 foot total with the step.
But then it'd be.
Bye.
I'll come back soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I'll see you soon. I'll come back in August with an update.
Thank you. Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Bye, guys.
Oh,
Yeah, so that footprint. I think he was really saying though. It seemed like if we had a piece, then they could make that platform wherever the piece was gonna be,
mhm.
Yeah,
however big we want it to be.
Well, and typically you create the, the base for the piece and not. the
Yeah,
base for the base.
yeah.
I think we need to give them like 2 or 3 ideas and say, here's our final, something like this is what we're looking, we think would be good. And let them choose and then go from there.
So is this a solicitation from artists whose work we are collecting and a call to artists?
I don't think we have
Or-
time for a call for artists.
Independently?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just want to
Honestly,
purchase
we are
something.
speaking as,
Yeah, I think we wanna have something that's already made or can be made quickly and we've have history, it would be easier to
move forward.
move forward
Mhm.
quickly.
And I think Bonnie's right, having several options, because the idea of having, this will all go through and council get the final approval, so there may be, having those options of if they lighting, you know, that I'm sure there will be a lot of discussion if there's something with lighting, if the piece itself, I'm not meaning ground lighting, you know, to up light the piece, but I mean incorporating the artwork. What is the care and the maintenance and everything down the road? That might be a question council has of, we do this now, what are we gonna need to spend in the future? So having several options for them. I think is a fabulous idea so that, yeah, we'll all end up being happy with what's there.
So what are you thinking? Like, what does everyone think? What do they see being there? Do they see color being there? Do they see more metal? What, like, natural? I mean,
If we're gonna give them options, for me, I would like to see potentially maybe one of Steve's pieces that has some color, maybe the red one. And then, and maybe we show them the yellow one and it could be recreated in a smaller scale, in a different color, or I don't know. But, and maybe one of these with the cost though. I mean, obviously the cost is a major issue. So this, I would guess maybe could only have 3 dandelions or 2 or.
You could have 3 dandelions, braided in for under 10.
Okay,
yes,
with lighting. Or maybe LEDs or something.
10 to 15. That's the budget.
Yeah.
okay, so 15 is more realistic.
Yeah.
I like those 2 at least to present to council.
Okay,
The dandelions, is their ability to paint them a color? Or are they actually polished stainless,
Well, they're matte stainless.
matte stainless?
Yeah, and it would be a conservator's nightmare
Mm-hmm.
to have to maintain a painted dandelion.
Can you imagine?
You know, it just won't.
Yeah.
From a practicality.
Right.
point of view.
Right.
And the thing about conservation, particularly with pieces like that, is when it does begin to flake,
Mhm.
if it's not attended to, it really begins to
Mhm.
speak poorly about your piece.
Mhm.
so as far as lighting, what do you see for the lighting?
I would see 3 flush mounts, which can be an issue for some people because they have to be water sealed, make sure that they're water sealed. I'm sure the city can handle that. 3 uplights, 1 focused on each in proximity of the stem.
Mhm.
And you have the luxury of a software program that was going to change the colors. That can be fun.
Mhm.
But personally, I think there's a fine line between highlighting art in a way that sometimes color can look a little Disney-ish.
Mhm.
And I think that for City Hall, that having the art itself, having, the finished material on the art speak for itself and not rely upon decorative lighting to do that,
Mhm.
right? So just clean, pure light, 4,000 Kelvin, down at let the art speak for itself.
Mhm.
It's my opinion.
Yeah.
I like that.
4,000.
Calvin.
Kelvin, yeah.
Okay, I have another question. What about like an interactive piece like that pin? Is that what they,
Those are wonderfully fun pieces.
okay?
And they're great for children. Some adults engage with them, but most adults prefer to see their kids have fun with them.
Mm.
So, and again, I keep going back to the City Hall thing. So if this were like in a public pocket park,
Mhm.
I think that could be terrific.
Okay,
But for City Hall, I really think it needs to be more sophisticated.
Yes.
And elevated.
okay.
Yeah.
So is that what we want to propose is a colored piece and the dandelion? Are those the 2 we want to focus on? Are we agreeing with that or?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. With that. City Hall.
And the trees, can you go back 1 or 2, a couple more? Right there, on the top right, the trees. Do we have anything besides that one picture on the top right of the slide?
Oh, like of,
Yeah, is there any inventory?
Inventory.
Yeah, in our
Does it
art
look like
list,
a bush?
Right, right.
Yeah, and
I mean, it just.
in the art list, in the, our ongoing potential art to buy, there are a couple of tree images in there.
So one thing to remember when you're considering a tree sculpture is that if you get a rolled steel front, you're gonna have a lot of weld seams, which is just inevitable.
mhm.
And if you don't get rolled steel, what you can end up with, and what that is, I believe, is you have a plane and a plane
Mhm.
that provides the base. So it's like, these tables that you put together, you have this part and that part.
Oh,
And so it doesn't really read in person, as it does in the photograph. Just, there's nothing necessarily right or wrong about that. It's just what it is. But
Yeah.
Just know that that's something to
Yeah.
consider.
And I think too, the contrast of something not natural or organic.
Yeah, we kind of threw trees out
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
It's just color, which is kind of.
The color,
talking
yeah.
About color,
Mhm.
so that's what,
Yeah.
brought me back to ask that question.
Yeah. So. Okay, well, yeah, I feel good about those two, but there's other,
David,
I'm fine with that.
Dawn,
Yes.
and then Don, what is your, the two you like either?
I think that having a variety of options for them to present, terrific. So I would say definitely, an impactful color. I would probably avoid red because you have the red tones in the brick.
mhm,
And you have, I guess that if that color of the pergola is.
Redwood.
Mhm.
Redwood, so,
mhm.
So what color would you
and-
see?
And red is also, even though it's some wonderful UV, protected, red pigments from, powder coating.
Awful.
I think that yellow or, a vibrant blue. Be nice, or
Mhm.
even, a vibrant green could be
Mhm.
nice.
And do you feel that
Or
sophisticated
White could be,
or white?
white could be.
And do you feel that's sophisticated enough for behind City Hall?
I think if the sculpture is, sophisticated, that those colors blend itself. to that.
Okay.
Mhm.
How easy is it to repair if it is scratched or spray painted or whatever other crazy things that could happen to it? Is it?
Right, so you have options. One is an on-site restoration, where someone comes out and does their very best to match the piece. It gets a little tricky, right? Because, the sheen, degrades in time, as does the color. So if a piece can be disassembled and taken to the powder coater, and you have to, be prepared to be without it for however long it takes a powder coater to, sort of send off the, material and repaint. But so that's ideal, is that you have, what's ideal is that if you have a replacement piece temporarily, well, this one goes away to be repainted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, I feel like that location is fairly protected.
There's a homeless problem,
Oh, really, right over there.
all around, from the DART station all the way to the park
Mhm.
and to the houses behind it and up to the theater. Because they tend to roam around and, certainly the majority of them are harmless, but some are, do destructive things.
Yeah.
I think one of the downsides of the fountain, besides the cost of the maintenance, is they're bathing in the fountain. They come to the firehouse and they use the hose to wash themselves. So
Yeah.
it's a problem and there's not really an ordinance. It's hard for cities to know what to do about that.
Mhm.
So you can call the police and they'll shoo them away and they'll get on the DART rail and go to the next stop, and just kind of move around from stop to stop, city to city.
Yeah.
Something is gonna happen to the piece,
Yeah, yeah.
because,
I mean,
kids are gonna come. Johnny loves Susie.
Mhm.
I mean, it's amazing what
Yeah.
people will do.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's important to have a, you know, a conservation and a restoration budget in place for these sorts of things.
Which we have put aside.
We do not. We have
Oh,
put it in, requested for it. but
Okay.
It will be discussed this upcoming budget.
Yes.
We do not have it in place right now.
okay.
But it has been suggested and asked for that.
Yeah.
uh,
So
bid
stainless,
council.
yeah, stainless steel is the easiest material. to work
Okay.
with.
Mhm. Doesn't look as good.
I'm darn knucklehead.
I know, right?
Do you want me to send
Email
some images?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Please.
If I can get this photo, I could Photoshop it on there for you.
Oh,
I can email it to you tomorrow.
perfect.
Lydia, do you just want to show the Alicio
Oh,
Garcia? We had talked about, local artist and we know he does stonework and it wouldn't fit into behind City Hall, but we wanted to show you that we did do a little bit of research there.
yeah.
And these are pieces that could go along that look different, along the trail for a whole unique experience or at John Burke or others, but he is a Farmers Branch resident for many, many years. And we did want to at least show that we did look into it and he would be glad to, do anything for us.
Mhm.
And this is a few pieces of what his artwork is. So just another idea.
Great. I think it'd be great to put him in the public art list.
Yes. Lydia's already added it or is going to add it. And then also,
As a gift thought to
Perfect.
the area in which the scope field there.
That'd be great.
and then this has also been added, Jeffy Brewer. You guys should have a catalog of all his artwork that is available for sale that we can outright buy and potential for
Okay.
you want to look through there and we'll add that to our potential art. Consider-
Well, I think that it defines the space.
Oh, okay.
and
Those are
that,
ones that he's done.
that the
Oh.
area in which the art
Different
goes,
sizes.
becomes a little bit more special because it's. you know,
So
part
like
of
that
the-
green one, do you feel that's too whimsical to put behind City Hall?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
And I don't
Okay.
think
oh yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
no, I, yeah,
I feel like it belongs in Roswell, New Mexico.
okay.
I'm sorry, I just drove through there, so.
No, I love that,
I mean,
okay,
I love it, but it's just,
It's a base
I don't think.
no, okay.
I agree.
So are we leaning more towards either a pop of color similar to what Stephen has showed us or the dandelions? Is that,
Mhm,
okay,
I think so. Okay. All right, we good?
yep, thank you,
Moving on,
Lydia.
yeah.
Lydia put that together, so
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Great.
Lydia. Great job.
That was awesome.
So Lydia's
I was about
gonna-
to do that. I was like in
In the computer working on it, it's like, oh.
So she's also gonna leave us, so thanks so much for staying. We appreciate it.
Thank you. All right,
Take some cake home.
yeah,
Yes. Please, thank you for all that.
yeah, that's delicious. Receive a committee status update.
We're raring to go. We're
Yeah.
just gonna miss Don and Natalie, but we will have 5 openings. We have 3 currently with 2 more. And thank you to David and Owen and Dawn and Amy have graciously decided to commit to another year. So thank you all very much for that.
Thank you.
That's great,
Yeah.
yes, thank
But
you.
we are moving ahead with buying, gonna get involved in this sculptures and
Awesome.
art and everything else.
That's great. All right, and then receive subcommittee updates, so art and public spaces. Feel like we've kind of
Yes,
beaten that horse. Artist outreach, Owen unfortunately left, but do you have any information?
no information on that, but art in public spaces, so, well, I'll share this and when we get to it.
The newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll share.
But I do believe that they're still working on something and wanting to have another event down the road, so.
Yes, and there are currently 64, 65 artists in our database, so, or relate it to art in some way that, we have now, added the button on the website, so it's easier to access the artist listing. And hopefully we're able to add more and more as we develop that.
Grant making and funding.
I just have a copy of the email that I shouldn't have sent to everybody, but did.
I think you can send everybody, you just can't reply all, right?
If you,
That's what I thought.
it also considered sending to every, if you don't do the DCC, because then it can be a reply all, and that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
I should have just sent it to Hillary to do CC.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
But, so all this is just a couple of, government funding sources, National Endowment of the Arts and Texas Commission on the Arts. Since Hillary, and staff gave us kind of finally a procedure to follow. As I come across these different opportunities, funnel them to Hillary. And then I think she will go through and kind of vet, there may be some back and forth to where we get to a point, is there a particular project we're wanting to fund, et cetera. So all that's to say, we now have a platform or a process to be able to at least begin talking about grants, where I feel like for the last year and a half, we talked about a nonprofit, we talked about everything except how to get funding. And now we kind of have a process of at least to follow how to begin to try to get funding. And so that's really the update.
I think it's great to have this, and I was just thinking that, if you wanted to think about earmarking something, maybe the pocket park that we keep talking about and hearing about and seems
Yeah.
like it's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Could be a good project
Yeah.
to say, we'd love to kickstart this. This is what we're thinking about. Maybe we could apply some of the sculptures we're looking at.
I think it's a great idea, really having a project in mind.
Focused, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I have found with anything with development grants, if you have a project in mind and then you look for the funding with it, it helps with your narrative of, you know, this is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Here's the art piece, here's the park, here's the fill in the blank of what we want. And then this is how your organization, your nonprofit, will fit in perfectly with that.
yeah,
And so I think having, identifying those is a great way to start it, because then that's a better and easier way for us than to sell it to, as it goes up the chain of command going, okay, you got money for the west side. Why do you need money for this? What do you want to do? You kind of think like that, where we can say, well, here is our thought out proposal. This is what we want. Here's a piece, or here's a project. And then here is the funds, the grant that we can go after to fulfill that.
I think the reality is things that we've done, like the dance festival, whatever we're calling that, that's tacked on to the end of Blue Moon Bluegrass. There's a cost associated with that. We've done it in the least expensive way we can because Blue Moon Bluegrass was already there. Well, now Blue Moon Bluegrass isn't going to be there. And so, there's probably, if we want to keep it, Blue Moon Bluegrass is moving to a hotel, at least that's the proposal.
It's the proposal. Nothing is
Yeah,
spoken, but
that's
that's
the
what's
proposal.
been proposed for
But
next
it's
year.
it's there, it's here.
gonna be
2025.
Got it.
So, yeah, exactly. If it's for
It's gonna
2025,
Yeah.
if we don't have that event here, we don't have the use
We
of
don't
the
have the
stages
page,
and
and
all
then
that.
there's a
And so
cost.
then,
And then what
if
do
you
we
want to do the same thing, then it's, there's a cost to it. So, and
So we
that would
have
be
to plan ahead so we can.
that
have
would be
the
a
funding.
project like she's talking about. It's called this, and we've done it before, and we're gonna do
This
it
has
like
been-
this, and and we need $15,000 or whatever.
Right,
the
whatever
number
it is for the stage phase.
But you can have I believe you can have multiple asks. I don't know, that's what we can go through and kind of
Multiple us with different,
multiple projects.
Oh.
You can have multiple projects, all from the same entity. So you could have something in the Arts and Culture District, you could have something on the west side, you could have the Dance Fest, you could be asking for 5 different projects to fund.
Well, it'd be nice for us to maybe put that list together of what we want those to be for
Yeah.
this year. We
Yeah.
have very specific things for the needs and probably cost of what those would be.
we'll just also know That was presented to council, the events, and it's still up for review, so nothing has been finalized. But council is reviewing the number of events the city does, and that's not just our special events, that's events and programs that each facility does. So that list, in order for us to add anything, which we've actually had to remove, the proposal has been to remove items. So in the future, anything that is new, you have to have it all approved beforehand. Like, I believe for an event like that, it's gonna have to go through council. So keep that in mind as well. We may have to do an event proposal to have something done as well, or something of that nature. So it may take a little bit longer, but I just wanted to throw that out there. They're trying to streamline the process a little bit more.
And when would that start?
My understanding, once council reviews it all, because it was proposed, but they did not give any definite direction to staff yet. It would be for fiscal year 25, so starting in October is what's been proposed. So we would still complete, since Bluegrass is October, but it would still be, it's all planned, so we can finish that out, but it would be then for 25, yeah, because we're 24 right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so whatever's on calendar kind of right now, it's good to
Yes.
go, but when we're looking at future potential events, and that's when we're looking at having to go through the
Approval process, yeah, I put it, the approval process, yeah, and that's relating to staff as well. Like any programs or things we want to do is my understanding, so that may change, nothing's been finalized. They're trying to,
Well, my question would be is if they, let's say they don't approve something, can you still utilize this space and have someone else come in and put a state, like, is that a possibility? Or is it because it's in the city of Farmers Branch, it would be considered like,
as long as it's not city run or staff run and there's not tickets sold.
Right.
If it is a ticketed event, then city property cannot be used.
it's.
I just understand that was just explained recently to
No,
me.
that's good.
Yeah, so, but yes, it would be, I mean, we've done things out here like a rental, like things like that, where they have events. They just use our facility,
So
so.
I could do a CFB
Yeah.
event, having it here's the historical part,
Mhm.
and I can get maybe a donation or whatever for the stage space to be
Yeah.
placed, and it would be great if I could not achieve the proposal.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Right.
we utilize it as a rental.
Yes,
that
that's
you're
the
renting.
understanding as of right now. If anything changes, I don't know.
Yeah, but
As
this
of
is
right
good.
now, yes.
No, that's good. to
And we've
kind of-
done that. We had I think it was with, ended up raining, so they didn't do it, but there was a, tap dance that they were gonna use back at the depot, and things like that.
Right.
We've used facilities for, staff is not involved and it's not a city-run, program or event, but it can still take place.
Yeah, cause I would hate to, you get moving
Oh,
on something and it's moving in a positive direction, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, and so I just wanted to see what our options are
Mhm.
to keep it moving forward.
I would say as of right now with Branch Arts Life, the way it's structured, I don't see that as a problem, because it is, they
It's
just use our
done.
facility.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
So-
use the property and what we have here for Bluegrass. The only hiccup is if Bluegrass is no longer here, we don't have the stage to use. And that would be the now that.
Well, that would be the cost factor.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's when we would need that funding source, and if we had the funding source, then it would be. Could be
Sure.
done, because basically somebody comes in, sets it up,
Mhm.
we did, and
Yeah,
Mhm. And I also suggest when you're putting a list together, David, for the grant, like what areas, let's, when we, in the fall, when we do our plan of work for 2025, let's add that pocket park, because we talked about it about a year ago.
Mhm.
We kind of put it 2024, we were just gonna focus, let's add pocket park to our 2025 plan of work, so we can start incorporating that and asking.
and I think it'll be really important, and I should have written them all off the top of my head, but anything we do, because we have to do this as staff, everything ties into the critical business outcomes and the strategic plan for the city, and there's, specific, it serves our residents, it, brings in, new businesses, there's certain criteria. So I think as we get closer to that and start planning, we need to
Mhm.
have those available. so
Yeah,
that-
we do when we do our plan of work.
So we make sure, and that
Mhm.
also helps to, with the proposal, we thought out each item and, you know,
Absolutely.
how it affects the city in a positive way.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a great idea.
Great, well, thank you for that research, David, and hopefully that comes to fruition. Festivals and contests.
We kind of just talked about a little bit of it, but I did receive from Rachel. She did send me the flyer.
These didn't come out so well on my,
But yes, she put that together and then we kind of were back and forth.
these are real vibrant. but
Yeah.
They are.
I'm running out of ink.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you, I did it real
have it
quick.
on my computer.
Cool.
We needed to pull it up, but there are actually 3 different pictures from last year's
Mhm.
Brains Hearts Live with 3 different groups. It's a variety of what was presented there, which was nice. So she did a great job, and basically she also wanted, because it's so early, a call for performance, which I appreciated, and she'll get it on social media and all the things. And so I need to get to the point where I can, work's been really, really busy. So once I get to the point where I can slow down a little bit, then I need to start forward thinking to start redoing all my stuff so it's ready to go.
And she said when, after Independence Day, that she'd be able to start,
But
advertising.
maybe,
or put it-
she gave me something
Yeah,
specific.
she gave me a date,
Maybe, okay.
like later in the summer.
Summer, yeah,
And once we
okay.
get through some
So I'll
events
try to
that,
have everything ready to go, so this way we're good.
and then here's your render's agreement that's signed, that if you
Excellent,
can
thank
have
you.
a copy of, so that's
Excellent.
all the paperwork for, the Farmers Branch Historical Park is all done. So I would say you're ahead of the game, girl.
Yeah, you are.
Way to go.
I love it.
Mhm.
And then we were talking about doing another electrical box.
Yes, we talked
Potentially.
about once, school's back in session, to look at that, and I will look over that and have kind of view it from the lens of college, and professionals, and try not to have it so
Yeah.
high school, and revamp that maybe, and maybe we can look at that.
Well, and you can send it to me and I can
Right.
help edit it and stuff.
Okay,
That'd be great.
That'd be great. And the update on the last 2 electrical boxes, Rachel, has sent the wrap. It's ready. It's been given to the company. It still has not been installed, neither one. And she was following up today to find out, when exactly, because the problem is gonna be in the heat of the summer. We'll miss that window, and then we'll have to wait till
Yeah.
probably,
and then
late September.
yeah, and I guess before we move forward with me revamping that, we need to know if it's a street or a signal box or an electrical box.
Well, we can decide and then just pick those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can also decide, like you said, they're fairly inexpensive, but if we wanted to dot the West Side Art Trail with some of those being wrapped, it's a easy way to bring art to the west
I
side.
definitely think we need to do that one.
Yeah.
you're Talking about, that's right at that
Luna.
corner of Luna.
Mm-hmm.
Luna and what?
It's valid.
No, it's a little south of, it's.
Maybe Mercer,
Mercer?
Luna and Mercer.
Yeah, that one that's by itself where they
Uh-huh.
wait for the bus there. There's a bus stop right there too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, it is.
So-
we got.
I will find out if it's electrical or traffic, and
Yeah.
whatever that one is, we'll make that.
That's
Find
perfect.
more, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
So then we're like,
Do
we'll
that,
take,
and then and I think I worked with Rachel on that one as.
Okay.
well, I believe, so.
and then we pick it, and I think that's a way to really
Mhm.
add art along with the sculptures too.
And are we
To
gonna
the-
do 2 or 3 this next round? I'm just trying to think of the questions so I can kind of start.
Well, and it just depends on,
We see what work we get,
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
right? I
Yes.
mean, does
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I mean, budget is a thing too,
I
but
think-
Well, budget, it's fairly inexpensive, and she's been absorbing that cost in marketing, but if we also have funds from the west side, and we did whatever ones we added to the west side, we don't have to add all of them, but say we are able to do 6 and 3 we put on the west side and 3 we put, if we get that many,
Right.
or do we then put our branding in there also, mix and match? She said they're fairly inexpensive, and if we use some of her money and then some out of the West Side Fund for the West Side, let's shoot high, right?
Maybe I need to do a staff development in October where my art teachers design them.
Oh, there we go. That would be cool.
Mhm.
That
Even
could
if we
be,
don't.
Or they get extra credit if
well, that could
everyone
be a full
turns it
staff
in.
development where you're just sitting there going, okay,
Mhm.
this is your staff to be creative.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I think it'd be great.
That's a great idea, Dawn.
Yeah.
And even if we don't use them all now, just like coming up with a list of artwork, we
Yes,
may not have locations right now, but if we have 8 we know we want, then we decide we've
Yeah.
got 4 we're gonna place, and now when we have 4 more, we already have the artwork ready to go, so there's no delays.
we're doing Brookhaven in October. Maybe you
Yeah,
can
and they'll
lead-
see.
maybe you can lead that.
All right.
That could be, I mean, seriously,
Yeah, definitely.
right? So
Mhm.
maybe we'll collaborate on that, because I think, Brookhaven, we're collaborating in October, so.
Great.
Mm.
Okay, let's do
That
that.
might be just a,
And remember how many I told you Boise had?
Yeah,
Right,
that was like,
over 200.
yeah, that's awesome.
So we can get there.
Do a painting.
Hmm?
What's that? I'll tell you about it. All right, again, on the, festivals and contests?
Yeah.
All right, discuss functional art furniture. So I think we're still just, we have that presentation from last time.
So,
Yeah. And I don't know how to move forward with it, and other than like, let's just get these others covered.
No,
Like,
that's
Um,
exactly.
But I think too, is still another thing to like add to, if you see artwork out there, furniture that looks cool, take a picture of it, see if you can figure out who made it, and
Well, I think once we identify the locations.
Yeah.
Where these art pieces are gonna go, then we can decide, all right, do we
Yeah.
need seating out there? Because if we do have to go to HOAs and ask for permission, it's gonna matter, do we need this much land, or do we need this much land to be able to put the artwork and a bench or something,
Mhm.
so.
Exactly. And also at the Mercer Park
Yes.
to, maybe a, functional art piece goes there, and at John Burke.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's secondary to getting this sculpture.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, potential arts and culture content for the city newsletter, Bonnie was gonna talk about.
Oh, yes. So the newsletter has ended. June, there was not an issue, so your Windmill and Newman, none
They
of
didn't do
that,
it.
no. So I did ask Rachel for other ways to submit for what I passed out here. So like that's the July edition of the water, goes in the water bill. And so Poppy, which is over at that
Field of Blue with me.
field of, say it again,
Field is Blue.
Field of Blue,
Mhm. The-
yes,
That was the one that they featured.
they featured. And Amy wrote, isn't that the one she submitted?
Yes. this is-
Yes.
She, and thankfully, so what happened last month, we had our meeting Wednesday night. Jawari and Rob were here, let us kind of gave us an update on Branch Arts Live. The next day, I get a call from Jeff Brady, Director of Communications, saying he had talked to Jawaria and they were working on the branch review that goes in the water bill. And if I had something, it was about 5:30 on Thursday night. If I had something he needed immediately so that they could include it and be able to do the design. And Amy had sent the articles over that day, so I was able to, add stuff to it and send them off, and they were able to add it. But they are gonna need these more in advance than
Mhm,
the whatever, the 15th of each month. It's about a 2-month leeway
mhm.
to get those in. So I was gonna talk to Bonnie about it for our next meeting to be able to kind of redo the deadlines for things. But we can still submit and have, if they've got room, things featured. So think about, it's not like if Hello Farmers Branch is going away, there's not gonna be anything. I still want us to get as much out there as we can. So still having artist spotlights or still having artwork spotlights. we still need to do articles so that we can, the sooner we get them into them, that we've already taken up a chunk of space that someone else that may got in a little bit later may not.
Well, and I talked to Rachel today and she did, she's already accepting, now for August water bill. And so, the Jeffy Brewer, which we were gonna feature in August, and then also just about, the art pieces, we did a little write-up of each one. So I did put it in the folder and I did tell Rachel that this was there
Perfect.
if we wanted to, so we had something. I could also, say about the windmill at Brookhaven that can go in. I feel bad because Owen submitted his bio to me this morning or this afternoon, and, there's really nowhere to put it right now, so, but she did say there is other avenues besides the water bill, the branch bulletin that goes out, and that's done through communications. She usually looks at it and approves it and then gives us the okay to send it on. And then always through social media, Rachel is willing to, do an art spotlight, you
Can I
know.
just have a folder that things go in, so this way when it's time, they can just pull things
I
from
think
it.
it's a good idea. I was gonna meet with Bonnie and kind of go over all this of how we can, that way if we do get, because I get, you know, occasionally we'll get phone calls and like, hey, I've got my newsletter. I need, you know,
Right, exactly.
what's the one Jeff Brady does that, fun facts. I need a fun fact. And so it's always nice to have if
Something
it
to
is
pull
something
from.
we can pull from immediately, yes, I have something you can add to the newsletter or add to the council update or something like that. So it's a great idea. The more, and we can add everything we
All
already have,
of- all of
when we
that.
in that folder so that, you know, may not be featured until February, but if it's something where we already have it, boom, we can send that over and like, yes, we have something you can.
And you
feature
might
for
put in the
arts and
folder things that are time sensitive.
Yeah.
More like some, it won't like Owen's bio could go in anytime.
Right.
But maybe the artist spotlight really needs to go in a timely manner, so this way when the artwork goes up, that it's timely and not
Exactly.
a year later.
Well, and that one tied in nicely
Yeah.
with, the
Right.
Independence Day.
Exactly, yeah. So
That worked
maybe
out.
having it,
Yes.
month or something like that.
So I will send an email once, Hillary and I speak, which will probably be Tuesday, have our meeting, and then, you probably something like you can email me anything and then we'll have a central folder that Hillary can pull from.
Yeah, that's great.
So last time, as I recall, we were told that all of these communication vehicles were under review. And what I'm hearing today is one of the results of that is that Hello Farmers Branch has been cut. Is there anything else that goes with that report, or is that the report?
That's all
That's all I heard.
yeah, that's all I heard. And
So if there were 10 other publications and they cut one, then we're down to 9. Or if there were 5 others and we cut one, we're down to 4. Is that, I mean, that's the assumption.
Understanding was what Gerardo was saying, and this one, we had our, kind of, because we questioned too, we weren't sure what
Yeah.
is the direction. They're trying to streamline where as many residents as possible are seeing this information,
yeah.
so trying to get, so that's a fabulous thing. I don't know if there were others that were cut. We got the notification that May was the last for Hello Farmers Branch. I have not heard yet if there are other things scheduled or planned, but as soon as we hear, we'll definitely pass it on. That was just the email that I got that was but like I said, our last meeting, and then the next day I get a phone call like, hey, do you have anything to add to it? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
yes, I do. Well, here, let me send this to you right now. So, and like what Bonnie was saying, we'll be able to spotlight it on social media and things of that nature. So, I'll let you know. That answer the question?
Sort of. I mean, I think I'm hearing, as I do with city staff, 2 different, it's like the Tower of Babel. I'm hearing that we need to be sure that we match critical objectives, which arts and culture is one of the critical objectives. And I'm hearing that we're reviewing the communication pieces and we're going to cut the communication that has to do with arts and culture, which to me is It's kind of two different things, and there's not really, I don't have a problem with cutting and consolidating, because the goal of communicating with maximum citizens is a great goal. The problem I have is, then how are you going to accomplish that objective, from a communication standpoint? And that's the part I'm not really getting an answer to.
No, I completely, I understand, and
Yes.
I haven't heard that answer yet, so I'm hoping in the near future they'll communicate that quickly, so we all are on the same page.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not just arts and culture. I'm imagine affecting historical park. I imagine it's affecting the branch connections. You know, or is it? I mean, I don't know.
Sure direction, but I'm sure they will, let us know.
And I was just gonna see if I had anything else to add to that, if I brought it down. No, I will find out what all, where we can submit other things to Spotlight art and things like that. And I will
I
update.
guess my thought is, you know, I've done a lot of research on other cities. And, you know, Garland's the one that I always want to send, and I'll bring Garland in August. But Garland every month sends out an e-blast just about all the arts and culture that's going on in the city of Garland. And Irving does the same thing, and so on and so forth. And so on the one hand, oftentimes committees are told, we want to see what other cities are doing around the area. Well, here, you know, and maybe we need to do that. So, you know, here's who's doing communication with arts and culture. The decision to not have a printed piece is fine as long as something fills the vacuum. But if nothing fills the vacuum, then it feels like we've taken a step backwards. That's how it feels. I mean, maybe I'm
No,
oversetting it, but
I will find out more information on that. But we did put together, because we talked about Wiley, you know, another city, and that was something that Robert brought up, and we did put together. What they do is a lot of their art that they have in the city ties into the city, and it has a whole paragraph on why that art was picked and what, you know, where and why it was placed.
so Garland's one thing, because Garland has had a arts group for 40 years. Wiley, to me, as a Farmers Branch resident, that's embarrassing. Because Wiley is, I think Farmers Branch is an inner ring city. We are more developed than Wiley is. Wiley's lost between Prosper and Princeton and McKinney, and you know, and not to badmouth Wiley, but the fact that they are talking about art and we're not, to me, that looks bad on us. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's like a staff payment thing, you know, like what was it that, I get the streamlining and wanting, having solid information, but it seemed like, I know, I always think if you have multiple avenues of information in multiple areas, it would be good to just, again, have something where if you're interested in arts and culture, you know where to get it. It's from Hello's Farmers Branch, and it's unfortunate that that is no longer there. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully there is another avenue.
Yeah, that would
we
be
will
great.
Be able to.
That would be great. And I think having a folder of things and
That's, we're ready.
inundating them with
Mhm.
what we're doing would be helpful.
And it might be something I forgot to ask, so July 17th, will you be attending the chair?
I just got that meeting that.
Well, it
moved.
changed.
Yeah,
So
so
it was-
I will be back in town then.
Okay,
Um,
that might be something to ask.
yeah, oh, I will.
So it was the chair, used to be monthly luncheons, and now they're chair meetings at 5 PM, and then we just got the notice that it was changed from July 10th to July 17th, so Wednesday at 5 PM. So that might be, maybe there'll be more explanation.
Yeah, definitely. Great. All right, putting things on the next agenda, which will be in August. Not yet, but assuming we'll keep what we have on there, and
Do we
maybe,
want to take off the art furniture for now, or do we want to, what do you want
I
to do?
feel like, personally, I would wanna talk, I guess, talking about the plan of work is gonna have to happen for
Mhm.
the following year, so I would put on there the plan of work.
For 2025,
Mhm.
and then,
I have to talk about voting for positions,
Should we do,
right?
is
mhm.
the plan of work normally the August or is it the September meeting, giving the new people a
I think
chance?
we-
Well, I mean, like, handing it out and talking about like
Yeah.
what it is for the new
First
people.
introduction.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then voting for positions.
I mean, you won't vote that night, but talking
Yeah.
about voting
Yeah.
or talking about positions.
Yep. And then subcommittees, do we like the 4 that we have do we,
Right, yeah.
do we want to redefine, or do we like the 4 and just have more people on each committee to help?
I think it's also gonna depend on who we get.
Right,
The
the type of people.
expertise of
Mhm.
who comes to the table is gonna kind of dictate what that might be.
Yeah, I think that we'll find out in July sometimes.
I would also suggest maybe the public arts one be more focused on the West Side Art Trails, if there's money there to spend. And if it's just for 5 years,
Well,
some
already
people,
in year 2.
well, yeah, so 3 more years. Having somebody or 2 people focusing on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're really.
Because anything on the agenda, if we, they can always be brought back and it can be updates. So it may not necessarily need to be on every single month, but it can be, okay, well, we don't need to talk about the functional art for a bit. Let's hold off on that and then we get an update or bring it back when we're ready for it.
Yeah,
Be the same thing
sure.
with
That
public
can
art.
always fall under West Side Art Trail because it's
Yes.
all gonna be part.
It
of-
absolutely
Kind of
can.
That's how
combining
it-
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like we talked about not doing a brain charts live, but that's always under.
Yeah.
festival,
Yeah, it can
so-
go-
This wasn't
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah.
So do we want to take functional art off and discuss it under West Side?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Is it premature to determine art locations along the trail now? Not now, but
No, I think
No.
we need to.
Yeah,
I think the sooner the better.
that's the basis of
yeah,
everything going forward.
yeah, for sure.
So we can put that under West Side Art Trail as identifying, that's what you're meaning, correct? Donna?
Right, identify the
Mhm.
locations and then
Mhm.
in the virtual art.
Yeah,
I think
As soon as we can.
it would be helpful if staff could get for us, some clarification about festivals. The events thing, you kind of gave us some,
Yeah, I don't think it's
Very-
been finalized yet.
right,
but-
but I'm just saying, I think to be fair to the committee, the new group starting in August, if our job is not to create festivals, because we're not supposed to have any more events, then we need to sunset the word festivals, and that's just a contest, committee.
Okay,
mhm.
I will ask Jessica, because.
But I think if we're creating festivals and it's going against, some other
Oh, then I
directive,
will need to find
then
out.
we're wasting our time, because they're not gonna go anywhere, or we're kind of butting our head against the wall.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Can y'all, I guess I could look it up. I was gonna say, if I could find out how much, a stage costs, like how much does that cost? So we kind of know,
Mhm.
like how big of a funding source we need if that were to happen. Like,
I can find that answer out.
that would be great.
I guess I really just wanna have
Right, but I.
clarification if in fact we can do those things. Yeah,
I'll ask Jessica, because there was one I was asking about, and she was given the, city guidelines and everything. I can have that added in, if she got the answer, give it to me, or have her come next time, and hopefully by August, we'll have made a decision, and when we have a little bit, a little more clarity, but, new council coming on, they're still trying to figure.
Yeah, yeah.
Discuss.
I mean,
but,
I know at one time there was conversation about having a festival in Mustang Station that involved the restaurants and having an art walk,
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That was a complete staff administration ago and at least one complete council ago. And there's been so much change. I just wonder if today, if the group said, hey, we want to do art walk at Mustang Station, you know, is that
Correct.
considered an
Correct.
event?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it comes down to that the staff is overworked in setting these events up. And so therefore, I think they're trying to turn that down. So something like that would be completely manned by our committee. And I don't think that that's
That's
a
what-
problem. I think it's more of the bigger
Mhm.
events that cause them to set the stage up, to tear it down, to,
Mhm.
that's my understanding. But I could be really off base if that was my understanding of.
That was kind of mine, but
But it's a good,
yeah,
good question.
Right, yeah.
I'm just wanting
Yeah.
to make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear because,
Right. If we do move forward with these things and then we're told no.
the same way that I asked for a year and a half on clarification about funding and a nonprofit. And it finally took until the last meeting to get clarification on that. I feel like, we need some really good clarification on, can anybody in the city or any other committee, if they decide they want to have a hot dog festival, that they can do it whenever they want to, in the name of the committee, with no staff support. I mean, that just feels odd. It feels, is that really what we're saying? Because that's not what we were saying about grants. What we found out about grants was no. Typically, the city needs to apply for the grant because it's the city's name on the grant, so on and so forth. So when we're operating as the Farmers Branch Arts and Culture Committee, we're under the city umbrella.
your city is.
And it's not just like we willy-nilly can go out and do, that seems weird to me.
Well, unless Dawn does it as
It would be
CF
through CFB.
CFB thing where she's just working independently and lets us know that this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come join
Yeah.
us, get the
Right.
word out kind of thing. So, I mean, if I have to go that direction, then I could go that direction.
Right,
Which
sure.
would be if,
But then it
Yeah.
wouldn't be discussion within our group.
right,
Right.
right. The other thing we did talk about is doing a field trip, for the West
we
Side
did.
Yeah.
Art Trail. So we need to put that. on.
September.
So I did
Yes.
ask,
Mhm.
and I think this will be too late. I did hear that the suggestion was that was one person's suggestion of doing it in November because we will have the bus from the rec center back. But I think November is too late to so I think we need to look for other transportation options. But if we want to add that to the agenda.
Yeah, I think that's, because we.
Yeah, 'cause we wanted to
can't
do it
on
in September.
Yeah.
And I think we can get the 16 passenger from the senior center. You don't need a CDL for that.
We need to find out about that before we say, but we'll look at transportation options.
Cause I've driven that. I've
Yeah.
driven it several
Okay.
times.
Yeah, that's good.
But we'll put that on the agenda. And we could talk about that under the West Side Art Trail also.
Yes, yeah. Those things kind of can fall under.
Yeah. All right, I think that's everything. Motion to
Can I ask
end the meeting? Yeah.
question? So earlier you guys mentioned a 5-year running budget or something of 500K. Is that for West Side only, not
Yes.
the entire city of Farmers Branch? So that one park where we wanted to put in a sculpture that was canceled, is that not part of West Side?
Mhm. Anybody want to put in a motion to?
Sure, I'll put it.
Motion.
Okay. You got
There
it.
we go. All right, meeting adjourned, dismissed, ended. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you. And educational.
Thank you all so much I haven't shut this off, so let me get my sheet.
Steve,
Yes.
you know, City Hall is, 0.2 miles from here.
Okay.
wanna go by?
I just leave this here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very nice to meet you.
Yes, and you're Don, right?
Yeah.
And there, David.
Okay.